three of us could take on, a guy with a knife. I feel confident in that.
Without getting stabbed? I don't really like.
Yeah,
that.
it's my
Robert.
thing is I think we could win, but I'm not. Well, it depends on how much money I got in my wallet. If I got $20, I'll pay $20 to just not get stabbed.
I mean, that's a good deal. Yeah, that's a Shark Tank deal right there.
I got $300 in my wallet. We're throwing down.
Hi, welcome to this week's episode of the Top Podcast. I'm your host, Rob. Joining with me is Lou.
Hello. I'm sorry. I forgot how to say hello. Holy Jamoli Batman.
And Mike.
Hello.
It just reminded me of the ice cream guy. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Hello. No. No. Okay.
So every week we can start the podcast with an icebreaker. Feel free to comment a question you have for us on our socials or on YouTube. But Mike, what's the question this week?
I would like to know what and I don't want any heavy answers, right? Like keep it lighthearted. Yeah. I want to know what the stupidest thing you did as a child was. And for me, it was, I got really excited at the pool at Bear Lake when I was a little kid. And I just ran and jumped in. It was like, I think I was a bunny camper and my parents were counseling Teen Classic. It was young teens at the time. And I just ran and I jumped in the pool without putting my floaties on. And I have the most distinct memory of just sitting there with my eyes open under the water being like, well, this is weird. And like just the blurry shapes of bodies passing me by like you'd see in a movie. And just being like, okay, I've been under here a minute. And then somebody reached down and pulled me out, and it was all good. But it got like just barely to the point where my little heart was starting to pound a bit. Where I was like, this is getting scary. What's going on?
So we're going as like elementary kid. Like that's what we're going with.
Yeah.
Oh, I was younger than elementary at that point. I was a bunny camper, so I was probably like 4, if that.
Okay, so I got to think of something. My thing was like in high school. So I
mean, that's fine. As long as you're a kid, it's all fair game.
Okay, that's fair.
Setting off the fire alarms sophomore year of high school and getting suspended just from sheer stupidity was pretty stupid.
Doesn't Tyler have a lighter?
Jake has a lighter. Tyler's the snitch.
Jake has a lighter. That's right.
Potentially my number one though, but I'm going to save that for my number one.
Nice. The first thing that comes to mind is when I remember vividly being in the neighborhood and my dad teaching me how to whip a lawn, and I saw dog poop on the lawn.
Oh no.
And he saw it. He was like, hey, avoid that. And in my head, I was like, I think I can whip around it where it looks like we're good to go. And I whipped it and it splattered all over my dad's face. And then fun fact, almost I feel like 10 years after that, I was in the same neighborhood and I whipped dog poop in my face. So the circle was complete. It was one of the last lawns I've ever cut for him. So there you go.
Did he pay you that day, or he's just like, no, you didn't listen to me?
When we first started, he didn't pay me at all. Ooh. No. Yeah. So it took a year, I think, for him to get clients for him to pay me. To my understanding. If my mother is listening to this and it's wrong, I apologize.
Yeah, I feel like I have a good story, but I can't think of it.
Yeah, it's the first thing that came to my mind.
Well, as you guys know, on the Top Podcast, we like to talk about our top of a certain topic. And this week, Mike chose the topic. So, Mike, why don't you tell us what we're talking about this week?
Yeah, this week we are going to talk about the top 5 times we got scared, preferably scared for your life. But if you don't have scared for your life, we'll take scared poopless.
Nice censor.
Thank you. I do what I can. As somebody who now edits a podcast, I have the utmost sympathy for having to cut things. So I got 2 that weren't fear for your life. Once we kind of opened that up, I was like, well, these are some fun stories, so we'll go with these. And my number 5, I was with a buddy named Ethan, and his family had came over on Halloween. We were all going trick-or-treating because we lived in it wasn't like a nice neighborhood. It was a fine neighborhood, but it was pretty safe, and it was big. So, like, you could hit lots of houses. And we were getting ready in the kitchen, I think. I don't remember specifically. We were getting our costumes on. We were getting ready. And my dad at the time had a Scream costume, like Ghostface from the movie Scream. And the lights suddenly turn off. We look around, and the next thing we know, Ghostface is running at us. He didn't even have a knife. He just came in, and both of us pissed our pants right there on the spot. Like we were not ready for that sight, and it sticks with me to this day. I love the Scream movies, but there's this tiny little bit of resentment just tucked away.
I like the picture that he just went. He jumped in. I'm so buff.
I was thinking the same thing.
Sorry if that was loud, podcast listeners.
It was a prelude to that moment.
Was it just the regular white one? Because remember, that mask used to be like all the rage in the early knots. But there's also ones that had the blood in it, like, have the liquid in the.
I don't think so. I mean, I probably wouldn't be the guy to notice a detail like that. Also, I was so scared it didn't matter.
Didn't matter, yeah.
But I feel like it was just the normal one.
Does your dad like horror movies? He doesn't strike me as a horror movie guy.
No, he's not a big horror movie guy. To be fair, I'm trick-or-treating. I'm in middle school, I'm in early elementary school at this time. So maybe 8 years old. So I am now older than he probably would have been at the time. So he doesn't like horror movies, but he was in his 20s. He's as mature as you're going to be in your 20s. And he liked pulling pranks. So I don't know if he had it just so he could have something to wear on Halloween, or I'll have to ask him. I'll have to do some journalism, figure out what's what. But yeah, he had it for some reason, and he scared the crap out of us.
Is he known for doing pranks?
Oh yeah, he loves a good prank.
That's what I thought.
Do you my favorite. Go ahead.
Oh, I was thinking. Do you remember? I have this like random memory of him doing a toilet prank. Does that ring any bells? Have we talked about this already?
Paul did a fantastic toilet prank.
Was it electrocuted or like a firework?
It was yes. Paul was Paul was behind the exploding firework. Well, it wasn't actually exploding. The firework toilet prank.
Okay, awesome.
Those little white bag things, the tiny ones that you can throw, poppers? Is that what they're called? You get them at 4th of July. They were about the size of the little chocolate mint you'd get after going to an Olive Garden. A fun size, like a Mr. Good bar, like about that size, that were the same concept, but just stupid loud. And so there was a regularly scheduled lunch at the company he was at. And he also knew that an hour after the regularly scheduled lunch, his boss would make a trip to the bathroom like clockwork. And so he told everybody, hey, don't use this. Like I think it was only one stall. So he told all the guys, don't use the toilet. Like if you need to go down the hall to the building's bathroom. Don't use ours. And then he put them on all the little touch parts of the toilet seat, the part that actually comes down and makes contact, and just set it there. And so his boss came in, sat down on the toilet, and 3 of these things just... It was like listening to Kyle with Control of the Bomb sound.
Oh, gosh.
And literally scared the crap out of the guy.
So, yeah, probably made it real easy.
And the best part was he walked out, everyone was sitting there trying not to laugh, and he just walked right back to his office like nothing happened and didn't acknowledge it.
I'm happy that this wasn't just a random dream that I had about your dad.
Well, it was... his uncle.
It was his uncle, yes, but
basically
there was some connection to truth of the story.
Kind of a side tangent. Are you guys' Halloweens more? Are you going more for flashy or for scary or funny?
Like with our costumes?
Yeah.
At this point, I go for maximum comfort if I'm doing a Halloween costume.
I'm so grateful that you're able to put those in words because I couldn't figure out what I would do as well. Yeah, if I could go as Lucian every year, I would. If it wasn't such a party pooper.
Most recently, Hot Kyle and Eli liked to have costume parties all the time. So there's the point where I'm having to do a costume 4 times a year, and I'm not going to every single party. And so they did come dressed as your favorite movie character for Eli's most recent birthday. And I was like, man, I don't even know who my favorite movie character is. I do not want to wear a costume that's uncomfortable for 6 hours. And so I went as the dad from A Quiet Place, because he wears a pair of tan hiking pants, which are one of the most comfortable pair of pants I own, and a red sweater. And he has a similar enough haircut to my own. That's it. Oh, and he has a nice backpack. And so I was able to buy myself a nice new red sweater, which I use all the time, a backpack that I use daily, and a comfortable pair of pants. And then all I had to do was walk around barefoot and problem solved. So yeah, comfort over everything else at this point.
You also had to act like you just saw your child get eaten by a monster. I don't know if
Spoiler.
you fully. Oh, sorry. It's like the first like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say spoiler for the first scene.
It's like the beginning of Last of Us, you know.
Right.
Yes, that's fair.
Usually kind of go for more like a flashy, usually nerdy costume. That's my go-to. But yeah, I'm trying the ball on the budget, which can be hard.
I will say though, your mother-in-law, Rob, Becca was in like I've seen some of the costumes that your mother-in-law made back in the day. That woman knew how to ball on a budget harder than anyone I've ever met. I saw some crazy stuff come off her sewing machine.
Well, yeah, because she could just make it. You know, I can't make it. I have to go on Amazon and search for deals. It's on clearance.
Ah, yeah. Ask her for lessons.
My wife loves to do the trunk or treat every year for the church. And this year we did a Overcooked theme. You guys ever played Overcooked, the video game?
Oh, I have not, but I've heard it's awesome.
Yeah. It's a really good time. It is stressful, but it's super fun. So she made out of like maybe like $5 worth of materials. She made stoves and ovens, and she made like fire. It was super awesome. She did a really good job.
Well, I'm coming right back to you, Lou. What is the time you were scared the most for your life, or the fifth most time? What's your number 5?
All right, yeah. So my number 5. I don't know if this is. I don't think this is an order of scared to non-scared, but I think there's different types of scared. So my recent scare is, I think about a month ago I had COVID, and I've never have been sick like that before. I've never had COVID until last month, which I think is kind of lame because it's like old news now.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like if I had COVID like back in the day, people would have like been like, "Oh, dude." Now since I got COVID, nobody had any empathy for me or sympathy for me. It was just like it just wasn't fun. It wasn't a fun time. And so I've never had a fever before. And so it was just all like a new experience. And so I sleep in a different room than my wife, and I get mucus stuck in my breathing hole, which is not the scientific term, but I cannot think of the name of it.
Your lungs, your mouth, your nose, nostrils, nasal canal.
The hole that I breathe in, and I couldn't breathe.
Nostrils?
Every time I breathe, I felt like I was breathing
all 3, I guess.
More mucus, and I thought I felt like I was choking. I couldn't get a full breath in. At first, I'm just gonna like manly power through it, and so I'm laying in bed, just like breathe, damn it, and it's just not working. And so I try to be as cool as possible because I understand the situation, but I haven't had a good breath in like a minute, it feels like. So I bust into the other room. My wife is sleeping, and I go, "I can't breathe." And Christian wakes up, and she goes, Lucian, stop it. Stop it right now. Stop it. And I go, hee-hoo. And so I'm like, okay, you're not going to be any help. So I run into the bathroom, and I just like look at myself in the mirror, and I just like tell myself to breathe, and I kind of just like willed it into existence. So
I'm picturing Chris Traeger in Parks and Rec. Stop choking.
Yeah, because there's nothing. I couldn't do anything. I can't like stick a spoon and scoop it out. You know what I'm saying? Like I was just like gonna just have to power through this. So that was the earliest of the fear for my life.
I will say though, I completely forgot about this until you told the story. We were playing cards with my dad's side of the family once, and I took a sip of Coke, and it just stopped halfway down my throat, and I couldn't breathe for like 45 seconds to a minute, and I couldn't find a good way to communicate that to the crowded room of people around me. Terrifying experience.
Yeah, because it's like I want to be because I've been in situations like that, and I don't want to cause an alarm.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's to the point where it is an issue, but I don't know how serious it's going to get afterwards. And so like I'm just like standing there trying to figure out, am I a problem, or can I do this quietly?
Yeah, usually if you can talk, usually you're good. Like it's not a complete, blockage of air.
Yeah. It's also just weird waking up and having mucus in your throat, and thinking, because I thought COVID was just going to take me. That was in the back of my mind. I was just like, oh, it's gotten to my lungs. It's over. No, it's just mucus.
I think Mike was the only one here that had COVID like during the pandemic itself.
Yeah, that was not fun. But yeah, we'll just leave it there. I ain't talking about COVID on a podcast. I got more brains than that. Not as a shot at Lou, but I heard it as I said it.
What idiot would talk about COVID?
I was like, ooh. I need to do some studying.
Was that lose strike 3? We're gonna have to find a third guest.
I mean, how many more black friends do you guys actually have? Let's just be honest.
I'm having breakfast with Waldab tomorrow.
My number 5 came from Civil War reenacting, and so a lot of people when they think Civil War reenacting, they think Greenfield Village. There's an event where people like the public, as we call it, can come, interact with you, and you can talk to them, and they can do that. But there's also these events that the official term is called progressive event, but there's also the slang of hardcore reenacting in the hobby. And basically that's you go out there, you have no contact, and you're actually just trying to live the life. You're just out there. I mean, you as a meta knowledge, that there's like some Confederates out there in our things, but you don't know where they are. You're just living your life. And this was my first ever event. I was 15 years old. I was in Wisconsin. I'm like, all hyped up. This was advertised as a Confederate only event, but the organizers wanted to have a union, just a small group out there. We were, I think, less than 20 of us. So it was a pretty small, quote unquote, company. They just wanted to have it out there to simulate, hey, what if you guys were camping and the enemy just kind of like stumbled in and all that. So the first night, it was just a downpour in the rain. We didn't really leave our cars anywhere. And the second night, we march out, and we actually setting up a picket duty, which is guard duty. I'm 15. I'm hyped up. There's stories where some people just when they were captured, they were tied to a tree and just left there with their food. There's when they say hardcore, it's pretty hardcore. Like you'll simulate being captured. They won't actually hurt you or anything. So I'm kind of all nerved up, and I have the first picket duty, so first guard duty, and I go out there. It's just this open field, nothing but the moonlight, and it's just me alone. It's crazy. Your mind starts playing tricks on you. I'm hearing things moving around me. There's this tree in the corner of my eye that looks just like a human, and there's so many times I'm like, oh! And then nope, almost about to call for the sergeant of the guard, but I do not. And my goodness, I was so on edge and just so ready to go pop pop pop. Well, it'd be pop, reload, pop, really, that type of thing. So it wouldn't be much. And I wasn't the only one too. I came back. Nothing happened to the last day. But another one of my friends, it was his first event too. He came back and he fixed his bayonet. He was so terrified, especially of that tree. We talked about it, do you see that tree over there? He's like, yeah, I thought it was a Reb the whole time. And my goodness, nothing will make you think. And I can't even imagine what it's like being on actual guard duty. This is simulated, and I was already about to piss my pants.
That's hilarious. Yeah, my number 4 is actually a very similar concept. So I will touch on that later. But I feel deeply.
Yeah, I'm speechless. It's like what? So your mom just let you go into the woods at a 15-year-old in Wisconsin? Did she drive you to Wisconsin?
No. So I mean, I had my group back home, and my cousin was in the group, and he was one of the founding members. So I was with people that she already knew and everything, and trusted. So
okay, she just didn't let you go into the woods with a bunch of strangers.
No.
Playing. Okay.
He was like, Robert, go play with the racists in the woods.
Go shoot at those racists in the woods.
Do you understand? I'm just happy you didn't got belittled or know.
My mom just picked random woods in Wisconsin and said, go have fun. There's some Rebs out there. Good luck.
That's awesome. It sounds like you had a good time.
A lot of crazy stories came out from that one event. Learned I plucked a chicken. We didn't have any food, and there was someone that was reenacting as a farmer, and we traded for chickens. So luckily we had a butcher in the company. So he cut off the heads and all that, and we went and plucked it and cooked it over a fire.
Did you have salt?
No.
It was straight.
And these were very scrawny chickens. We were supposed to split between 3 people. I was with this other guy. Me and this guy cook it. Go to the third person who's talking to the farmer and all that. He takes a look at it and says, no, you guys can have it, because there just was barely anything there.
Nice.
Mike, how does this equate to your number 4?
Yeah, so as I discussed on, I believe, the first episode, the horror movie, not even really a horror movie, the scary movie I watched too soon as a child was Signs. So I was terrified of aliens. And I don't remember I think I saw Alien for the first time once we moved out of Allen Park, but I can't remember. Anyway, there was a night where I woke up and I swear to you, there was an alien standing in the dark corner of my room. And I sat there dead silent, absolutely petrified for what felt like upwards of 20 minutes. Just not moving, staring this thing down until finally I was like, look, it's gonna kill me. I have to at least do something. I'm going to make a break for it. I'm going to hit the light switch so that my parents will be able to see what's going on when they come up the stairs. And my dad is such a light sleeper, and they sleep in the room under me. At the very least, my death will wake them up, and they'll have a fighting chance to not get killed by the alien.
How old were you when this is happening?
12.
What a home.
I could be wrong. I'll have to double check with my mom how early I actually watched Signs, but it wasn't too long after that. And I jump and I hit the light switch, and because I couldn't help myself, I had to get a look at the alien before it killed me. I turned my head. It was a pair of freaking cargo pants that had like draped out of my dresser, and the light was just hitting them just right, and the shadow it cast looked for all the world like an alien. I felt especially stupid on that day, but I didn't feel too bad because I was so relieved not to be being killed by an alien that I kind of let myself have a pass.
Are you sure you didn't just have like sleep paralysis? Is that what it's called? Where like people see like themselves sleeping and there's like some demon in the room, some condition or something?
I've heard of that, and I mean maybe there's a chance, but it felt a little. My memory of it feels different than the descriptions I've heard of that.
I'm just trying.
It wasn't like I was. Yeah, I wasn't trying to. No, man, I was a scared kid. That's all it was. I can own up to that all day. But it definitely wasn't that I wanted to move and couldn't. It was that I was actively trying not to move a single muscle. Although maybe it was just I was having a very engaged and positive, like I was just going with the flow of my sleep paralysis. You know, that's the only option was to hold still. So I told myself that's what I wanted.
Have you guys ever used melatonin?
When I had COVID.
Hey, we're not supposed to talk about that.
Shoot! The slings, the arrows.
Well, there's this pretty common thing I've heard from a lot of people where they'll get crazy, terrifying dreams from melatonin. And I, for the most part, I haven't had that. But there's been a few times I've like woken up like trying to protect my wife, you know, from some invisible force or whatever. So I definitely get that.
That's awesome.
Lou, have you tried it?
And once I wake up, I'm like, this is stupid. But I'm just having those crazy melatonin dreams.
Yeah, I like to, and I don't recommend this, but I like to try melatonin and then see how long I can stay awake. That's, I don't know, it's like a fun thing for me.
Do you just like keep a timer next to you?
No. I just wait until I pass out on the couch and then I go, got me again.
Melatonin undefeated.
Lou 0, melatonin 27.
Gets me every time. The random thing is that when I was a kid, because I'm assuming every kid has had that, like, I think that's the reason why Monsters Inc. was a movie, because everybody used to think that there was a monster in their bedroom. I used to have clouds on my ceiling that my uncle paid for me. And at first I thought it was just like a lovely thing. But then as I got older, the clouds started creating faces. And then at the end, every single cloud was like a scary face. And I had to like try to go to sleep with like 10 scary faces staring at me. And that was rough. So they had to paint my room.
Did you have your wife paint clouds in your room so you can fight those demons finally?
I actually do. Well, me and my wife actually painted one of our walls, and it has clouds on them. But they're not scary clouds. They're like sunset clouds. They're actually very pretty.
Good job, Christian.
My wife is such a great artist.
Lou, what's your number 4?
So my number 4 is my freshman year of college. I think I might have been 3 games into my football season, my first year. And I had a roommate. Side note, when I applied for my school, you had to do a get to know you test or quiz. And one of them was, how dirty is your room? And so I was honest and I said, my room is quite dirty. And so apparently they put dirty people with dirty people. And so it was me and another guy who was both very dirty. And so I love the guy. He was a great roommate. So his charger breaks on his phone. And I used my phone to wake me up. So we had an away game going on. We had to be up at like 5 a.m. to get to the game, because it was like way out of state. And my phone was at like 1%. And he asked me, "Hey, can I use your charger for your phone?" I was like, "Listen, I use my phone for alarm, so you have to make sure that we wake up." He's like, I got you. Sounds good. So I go to bed, and I wake up and there's sunlight in the room. Not like 5 a.m. sunlight, like 6 a.m. sunlight, 6, 7 a.m. And I completely missed the bus, and my heart sunk like to my butt. And I was just generally afraid for my life. I thought my coach was going to kill me. I thought that I was going to lose my scholarship. I thought I was going to have to just like my parents has already like changed my room into something else. So I didn't have a room back home. So I thought I was just going to be a homeless bastard.
You started taking off clothes because you're getting so nervous?
I wasn't wearing much clothes in the first place because I was sleeping. But no, I did not. I started like, I saw like 10 text messages from my coach. He just like kept calling me. And I'm just like looking at my phone and it's at like 1%. So I didn't set the alarm apparently. Yeah, it was rough. It was a scary time.
Was your roommate also a football player?
Yes, he was also a football player.
What a like he should have known to wake you up.
Both missed it?
Oh, he didn't wake up either.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that's a dick move. Like, I'm sure he has an alarm.
No. Yeah, he didn't wake up either. So yeah, we were both screwed. I never did so many burpees in my entire life. It was a rough time. The worst part, I forgot about this. So the worst part was that they told me that they weren't going to cut me, and they said that I was going to play the next game. And then so I get ready to play. And then last minute, like right before kickoff, my coach was like, "Hey, you're not playing." I was like, "Yo, that was worse than all the burpees that I did." It was rough. He was like mind gaming me. I was so confused.
It's like, I want to see if you put in the effort, but yeah, you're not playing.
Pretty much. Yeah, it was scary. Not scary. It was rough.
So my number 4, nothing crazy, not really a story to it. But just as a kid, I was terrified of roller coasters. Like, I thought this cart is going to come flying off the rails. I'm going to fall to my death. And I don't know, for a long time, when I went to Cedar Point, I'm like, you guys have fun. I'll hold your luggage and everything. I was that guy.
But
then I ended up going on, what was it, like the minecart ride in Cedar Point? Like, this is like 6th grade. So I went like all elementary school, not doing roller coasters.
Boring ass ride.
Yeah, boring what ride. But for someone that didn't like roller coasters, it was like where it was at. That and the Iron Dragon are what made me, turned me into actually, I love roller coasters now. Especially ones that, are, how do I phrase this? Are friendly to many body types. Well, I'll phrase it as that. Because, that's something I never thought of as a kid. So screw you, Millennium Force. You were my favorite until recently. But yeah, those helped me overcome my fear. And I think just as a kid, I went on too aggressive of a roller coaster. Because when I lived in Pennsylvania for a couple of years. And there's an amusement park right by there. So I think it was just stemmed from that. Had one scary ride, and then I'm just like, I'm done with this. I'm never going on a roller coaster again, which is weird because I love heights.
That's funny. I have an honorable mention that actually is on the Cedar Creek mine ride as well. And it basically, I was convinced that the strap or like the bar didn't come down the right amount. I have no idea to this day whether it's just that I was like a scrawny kid and so it felt like it wasn't on there right, or maybe they didn't do a good job. But I was holding on to that thing for dear life the first time because I was convinced I was not strapped in well enough that I could fall out if
just
the right angle
white
rose.
knuckling it the whole time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like now, as it turns out, you don't even need a seatbelt for that ride. Nothing scary is going on. Like all those do is prevent you from jumping out. But I was terrified. I was like, that's it. I'm gonna die. And honestly, if I'd realized, I'd have been even more scared if I'd realized what a tiny little ride the mine ride was. I'm gonna die, and I'm gonna die on the mine ride. It's not even a good one.
Yeah, sometimes it'll get stuck, but like it's very low stakes. And shout out to the people I was with when I first discovered my love for roller coasters. They are gracious enough to keep on going to Iron Dragon and minecart with me. So shout out to them for being good human beings.
You're welcome.
It was not you, but
no, it wasn't me.
One time I was at a Ferris wheel and my bar didn't close all the way.
Dude, those carnival rides, those still, I'm like, I'll see like loose bolts walking up to them. Like, no, guys, I'm good.
Yeah. And I was with my grandma, and I was just like, hey, our bar isn't closed all the way. And she was like, well, it is what it is, cuz basically, like, she didn't say that.
Jump.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. She was like, yeah, I mean, we'll tell them when we're on the way down. But yeah, that was pretty scary as well.
Luckily, you said it was a Ferris wheel, right?
Yeah, so we came up and came back down, and I kind of waved.
Stop! He started taking off clothes. He's like, stop! I'm terrified. For some reason, I forgot about that until you brought up your college story again, Lou. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. I don't take my clothes off as much anymore, man. I've learned to control my urges.
Now we only take some off for money. Speaking of which, we've introduced a Patreon page.
For high execs only. This is a very exclusive Patreon. The monthly price of $10,000. Oh
my gosh.
Hey, we're trying to go global.
What's going to be in our Patreon? Nudes?
Us an address. Wasn't that our idea?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, for $10,000, it's going to have to be a freaking foot dress or something. It's going to be something.
I'll wear a Sheen dress, you know.
The Sheen
Sheer,
dress.
sorry, Sheer.
Oh,
I'll wear
okay.
a sheer dress.
Isn't Sheen the clothing line company?
I don't know. When I think Sheen, I think of Jimmy Neutron.
Jimmy Neutron?
When I think Sheen, I think winning.
True. There's a lot of Sheens out there.
I don't know that Sheen.
Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen?
Ah, gotcha. I try not to get into that guy. He's kind of scary looking.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen an episode of 2.5 Men, but I knew that was him.
I've seen a couple. They're not good.
Wasn't Ashton Kutcher on the show?
Yeah, and he might have raised the overall IQ of the show.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Or anything. Shout out to Ashton Kutcher. 2.5 Men, just him trying to have sex with younger women. Isn't that like the whole show? And then there's just like this fat, chubby white kid.
Yeah, it's his kid.
Who's just
there. That's his nephew. Excuse me. He's the half man. Yeah, that's right.
All right, Mike. What's your number 3?
When I lived in Allen Park, we had a basement that was like I don't know the technical term for it, but it stopped. Like we didn't have the last 3 or 4 stairs. So it was concrete and then a drop off. And then somebody built in a wooden little staircase for the last 3 or 4. And next to those wooden stairs, we had a trash can and then a big laundry sorting setup. So you dump, your darks and your lights and whatever and into different piles. And this giant hamper thing would hold all of it. At some point, there was all sorts of just long pieces of broken wood that had all got chucked into this trash can. No idea where they came from. No idea. I know nothing about them. But essentially, it just became this giant cylinder of spikes. And I was walking down the stairs one day, and I tripped on the way down to the basement. And I tripped like head over heels, rolling like a wheel down the stairs. And I can also see this one clear as day where I'm falling, I'm turning, I'm heading towards the spikes. I am looking at the spikes. They're inches away. And then I land headfirst in the laundry. But for a span of about 1 to maybe half of a second, I was like, I'm about to go headfirst into a pit of like just jagged wooden spikes.
Oh my gosh.
And this is how I go. And then I was headfirst in a pile of like dirty underwear. So I was good with that. But me and my mom both like afterward were like, okay, we need to get this thing out of the house right now.
That's crazy. I don't know. Yeah. Dude, you could have been like deformed.
Right? Or legitimately, I'd probably be dead. It was all really sharp and pokey. I probably at best I'd either have been punctured all over the place, or I very well could have just skewered my head. I probably would have bled out. There were so many of them. It would have got my jugular. It'd have been over. It only has the number 3 spot instead of the number 2 spot because the fear was so brief. Where it was like, oh, I'm falling down the stairs. Oh, I'm gonna die. Oh, I'm in the hamper. It just pop, pop, pop. But it was probably the most fear per second I've ever experienced.
That should be the name of your next book.
Fear per second. Some kind of like high octane racing horror story. FPS, fear per second.
Mm-hmm. Lou, what's your number 3?
Yeah, I don't know how to.
Glad you're going next.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so I've recently been hanging out with Robert again, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to go downtown Detroit?" I can't remember why we weren't down. I can't remember. Were we there for
probably
a game?
A basketball or a hockey game? One of those two.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and so I'm such an in-closet hockey fan, but only if I actually get to go to games live. I would never watch a hockey game on the television, on the TV. It's never going to happen. But I personally believe pound for pound, the best sport to watch in person is hockey. I don't know what it is. I love it. And so when Robert used to invite me to these hockey games, and I was excited for it. I don't know. Everybody's just so nice, and it's like that Canadian vibe. It's a really good time. I recommend it if you've never got to experience a hockey game. I recommend it. because like basketball, it just seems a lot of drunk people.
No,
and,
that's
like a lot
football.
of rude.
More football.
I mean,
I guess
I've gotten more basketball than football, but I don't disagree. And so it was me, Robert, and then another friend that I don't think I've ever met in the past. So it was kind of a random dude for me. And then I can't remember who suggested it. I'm assuming it was the other dude. He was like, "Do you want to go get barbecue? This is a really good barbecue place."
Yeah, he's like, "This is the best barbecue you'll ever have. The greatest mac and cheese is at this barbecue joint."
Yes. So I was taught, because I grew up on the west side of Detroit, I was taught to never go downtown by yourself, because that's where you're going to get robbed. That's where you're going to get shanked or shot out. Like, it's not a good place to be. That's the whole reason why back in the day, the Pistons used to play in Auburn Hills and not downtown Detroit, because the crime was too crazy over there. So I'm high alert, and I'm walking behind these two guys, and I'm not trying to like group you guys together, but you guys, Robert, you're a decent size, but the other guy was, how tall do you think he is? Like 5'10"?
Yeah, he's a little shorter than me, so yeah.
He's
5'10".
a little, but he had so much confidence. He never like kept his head on a swivel. He just walked like he was like Lewis and Clark.
He
like,
ran
you guys
the streets.
Pretty much, like he got on people movers without paying. He was going
Q-line,
in
Q-line.
Huh?
Q-line. You have to pay for the people mover because they have those.
Oh yes.
The Q-line. The Q.
Yeah. So it's just like, and so I'm walking behind you guys, and in my head I'm thinking, if somebody tries to rob us, what do I need to like? I want to run, especially if one of you guys get robbed. But it's like, do I lose a friendship? Does Robert stop being my friend if he gets robbed and I run away?
Probably.
It's like, I just like, I don't like, I'm generally nervous. And so we keep going through these back alleys, and it's getting like just ghettoer and ghettoer, and we're losing. If Detroit was like a bright light, we were walking away from the bright light into like the darker version, the darker Detroit.
Well, and the sun is set too by this time it was getting dark. So
yeah,
literally
so it's
as well.
like, it's literally dark. We finally get to this barbecue place, and the barbecue place is not good.
Mid at best.
It's not good to the chance that I felt like I was risking my life for. Like, I will risk my life for food. I would never risk my life for that food again. So I was more scared of what would I do if we do get robbed. Also, like, I don't know, Robert, like, would you just like, I don't know, because I don't know if you would just like try to fight it, or would you just give them your wallet?
Mine's well, I guess it depends. If they have a weapon, I'll give them my wallet. But like, especially if there's three of us on one, I'd try to fight them. But then I'd turn around and Lucian's booking it down the road.
You know, I'm just letting you know, I will fight for you guys. Just, I would have to get past the idea of, they're getting robbed. Am I getting robbed right now? Everybody has their
I feel like if you're, holding up one person in the group, you're holding up the whole group.
I don't disagree, Robert. I'm just letting you know one of my flaws. So just, don't take me out in a battle, because I will not be good.
Crumble under pressure.
I will crumble under pressure.
Mike, would you, if I was getting robbed, would you stay there with me?
Man, there are so many more factors I'm going to need answered before I can answer that question accurately.
All right, it's us three. We're walking in downtown Detroit. We're trying to get this mid barbecue place. We're cutting through back alleys, and then there's a guy with a knife. That's just like, give us your money. To us three.
And then you engage him and start fighting him. Is that the scenario that we're painting towards?
We'll say it devolves into that. Who knows where it starts? But I three of us could take on, a guy with a knife. I feel confident in that.
Without getting stabbed? I don't really like it.
Yeah, it's my thing is I think we could win, but I'm not. Well, it depends on how much money I got in my wallet. If I got $20, I'll pay $20 to just not get stabbed.
I mean, that's a good deal.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a Shark Tank deal right there.
I got $300 in my wallet. We're throwing down.
Honestly, it's more of I don't want to have to go through the process of like getting a new license and all that.
The inconvenience is why you would risk your life.
Yeah.
The DMV is so bad that you're like, I'll get stabbed for not going to the DMV. And also, if you $300, it's going to cost more to go to the insurance. It's going to cost more out of pocket. I don't know what kind of insurance you have, but the hospital's it's going to cost more than $300 to get stitched up.
No, that's why you just do it at home.
Not everybody was raised in the woods like you, Robert. Okay, that's not cool. Also, I would love to see you try to stitch up a wound. Are you about that life, Robert? Are you calling it?
It wouldn't be my first choice. If I had to, I think I could. I know the general basis, but I would definitely go to the hospital first.
So just to clarify where I stand, if we are in Detroit and there's also the three of us, and I'm not trying to knock the other dude. He doesn't seem like a fighter.
I was talking about like Mike instead of that guy.
Okay. If I have more trust if we have Mike than if we have the other guy. I'm not saying anything wrong with him.
The other guy.
I'm so sorry. He probably doesn't even listen to this podcast.
I was going to send him this. I was going to send him this podcast. Be like, oh, this is what Lou thought when we went to the barbecue place.
To be fair, so much confidence. I mean, I understand why he has 3 kids. I'm assuming he lays it down very well. The confidence is great. But yeah, with Mike, I have a little bit better of. But if you try to fight somebody because you have $300 in your wallet, one, what the hell are you doing with $300 in downtown Detroit? Were you trying to buy a prostitute?
Trying to buy a drink at the game. You know, that's what's going to run me nowadays. I'm drinking a hot and ready. That's it.
That is fair. I don't disagree. That mom's spaghetti is quite expensive.
Is it? Okay, let's change the situation. Would you have my back in a bar fight?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming. Are you who you are, or are you somebody different?
Why wouldn't that be me?
Well, like, I don't know the scenario. I don't know who you are anymore. Apparently you're willing to get into a knife fight with no knife. Did you punch the guy in the face?
Oh, just say stuff. I don't. We'll just say for the sake of it, where like it's coming to blows. Are you in or out? That's what I'm wondering. You got my back or no?
Okay, I'm in. Yes,
okay,
I'm in. But just don't be an asshole and start a fight.
I'm not gonna go looking for a fight.
I'm just letting you know. If you just woke up today and was like, I don't like that guy's face, and you punched him, I probably will jump in. I'll just be really mad at you. I'd be like, Robert, we need to go to therapy, buddy. You just punched a random guy in the face.
Do you see his face though?
Not worth it.
I'm not a guy that will start a fight, but I have never backed down. Granted, I haven't been I've been in like 2 fights. One of them was my cousin, but I've never been one to back down.
I thought you were gonna say the classic. I will always finish them, but
I 100% thought that's where he was going to.
And I was gonna let you have it too, Robert. I was like, Mr. Big Dick right here. Let's hear it.
No, but if you guys come and get in a bar fight, who knows how it happened.
Oh, dude, it's the last place I want to do
this
fight.
You don't want to fight in oil country, man.
No, that's not for me.
Those roughnecks, whew.
They got nothing to live for. No, thank you.
Moving heavy pipe all day, they're jacked. I'm just sitting in a truck, Nope.
Yeah, I don't trust a man that moves heavy pipe every single day. It's scary. Mike, have you been into a real fight before?
I've been in one fight. Have I not told that story on the pod?
I don't think so.
It was a doozy, man. So freshman year of high school, and we are playing floor hockey in gym class. And me and this other kid, we both go for the ball. He was your Dudley Dursley in book 5 type. Like he wasn't like he was a big boy,
more
but
wide
he was
than he was tall. Isn't that exactly how it's described?
Well, that was how he is in 4. In 5 is once he learns boxing and he's like still huge, but he's not plump anymore. He's freaking just jacked. Like he had a lot of like meat on his bones all around, but he could punch your lights out if he wanted to, kind of big. But me being the small, scrawny kid, I'm more nimble, so we both go for the ball. Our feet get tangled up. He hits the deck. I manage to stay upright. I get the ball. I'm moving towards the net. I don't think anything of it. It was a clean play. Our feet got tangled up. That's that. We're just playing the game. And I'm walking. Exactly. I'm walking out of the locker room. I don't even see the kid throw a punch, right? But like his fist is the size of my head, and it connects. And I got a big ass head, and it connects with my head, right? So it just bam, right side. I literally go flying, smack the other side of my head, bang, into a locker. And I'm like, okay, I die today. There's no way I'm winning this fight. And so I play my only card. I don't show any of the pain. I turn, I look up at the guy. He's so big. And I go, are you good, or do you want my other side too? And I managed to just crazy eye this guy so hard that he just like took a step back, and I walked out of the gym or the locker room, pissed my pants, and sprinted out of there. I was so scared. But like I literally like crazy eyed a dude that had like 150 pounds on me. And he was like, I don't want to mess with this guy. Closest I ever got.
That was a successful intimidation check right there.
Exactly.
Good job.
So my number 3, kind of along the lines of Mike's number 4, when I was a kid, I saw Jaws way too early. We ended up taking a trip. This would have been 2002 down to which Disney is it Disney World that's in Florida or Disneyland?
Land, I
Going
believe.
to Disneyland. I think it's World actually. Wait,
Okay.
no, because everybody says I'm going to Disney World for the Super Bowl, right?
I think
That's in California. So Lucian's right. It's land.
All right, so we went to Disneyland or whichever one's in Florida, and they have like this water park and all that, and they have like this one where you're supposed to be snorkeling, and me and my mom stay in line, and we get there, and we're like right at the front, and I look down, and it's this big like enclosure, but there's baby sharks down at the bottom. I don't remember what they were, not very big, like a foot long. And I nope right on out of there. And I'm like, no, I'm not going in. I'm not going in. So my mom ended up waiting. And, it's Disneyland. So there was a long line. And looking back, I could tell my mom really wanted to do this. And she was like disappointed that I chickened out. But there's no way I was getting in that tank with sharks and everything. I'm just like, nope, I've seen the movie. I'm out. And it's just, I noped right on out of there. Because I thought I was going to get eaten up and be fish food. And that's my number 3.
Man, low key, high key. I'm not even getting today. I'm not doing that either. Are you kidding me? I'm not getting in the water with sharks. I don't care if they're Disney World sharks. Yeah. No, not a chance.
And the employer's like, well, they don't come up very far. And I'm like, oh, no. If I go in there, I'll piss myself, and then they'll smell the piss in the water and come eat me.
Is it the same water? Is there a box? Is there a gate? Is there something dividing us? No. F off. I'm not getting in there.
Yeah, you would think I don't know if they still have it, but you think they have like glass above it or something. And they also had stingrays, which as a kid I didn't mind, but stingrays are actually they have a kill count. It's weird to have them in there. And they were up by the people where they were stepping in. So maybe I could have pulled a Steve Irwin and no, thank you.
Right.
But then again, if I was attacked, wouldn't have student loans right now. So
big brain move. That would have been a big brain move.
I would have.
And that's why Rob is the money man.
That's why. Take it.
Money man Rob.
Money man Rob.
I could go on a whole rant about how people are willing to break their legs to not pay for college, and that should show you how the system's screwed up.
Rob is just like going to casinos looking for ice on the floor, looking for that payday.
Or get hit by a Walmart truck, try and get that Walmart money.
Oh, that Walmart money, baby.
Be like Steve Gallagher.
I don't know who that is.
It's
okay, thank goodness.
No. I doubt any of you guys saw Shameless. So.
I know.
It's the deadbeat dad who's like always just trying to get the payout.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fun fact, I haven't dated or been married to a woman in the last 10 years who didn't like that show, which is literally 2 people, but still.
It's a very interesting fun fact. That's awesome.
9 years, but close enough.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I was bored, and there was a lot of seasons. Wouldn't really recommend it though.
Yeah, no, not my thing.
But now I'm watching The Boys. Oh my gosh, that stuff's wild.
I watched the first season. I haven't watched anything else.
I just finished the first season today, and I hear it gets really darker, and I don't know how they're gonna get darker than what they've already been. So we'll see.
In the first episode, when the speedster runs through that lady.
Yeah. I'd recommend The Boys. I feel like it's a realistic adaptation, and if people had superheroes, like they just become self-conceited assholes. If they had superpowers, like there wouldn't be very many Supermans out there. There'd be more Homelanders.
Can't disagree with that.
You say you can, or you don't?
I can't disagree. Don't give me a superpower.
Okay, what's the lamest superpower you can have before you get power hungry?
Ooh, probably I can see through things. Yeah, I think I'm good enough. I think I'm a good enough person that if I see through things, I wouldn't take advantage of it.
I would have gotten better grades in college, but like I don't really know what else you could do with that.
Oh, I guess what's the definition of a bad person? Because are we like killing people, or am I just using?
How would you? I don't know how you would kill people with that power. So I feel like that one, it's a nice one that like kind of self limits you. Like what else would you do with that? Like you can look inside a bank. You're still not gonna rob it. Like.
Yeah, I mean it's just so. Yeah. It's so boring that I couldn't do anything. Yeah,
I agree with you.
That's it. Really, the only creepy thing we're all thinking of is I can see through people's clothes.
Jeez, what?
Oh, are we all not thinking that? Am I the creepo? Am I the weird one? I'm sorry.
I respect people's privacy, sir.
Oh,
you can't be trusted with this power.
Oh my gosh, I'll make 20 lashings. 20 lashings. How about that? Is that good enough? What about you guys? Let's make sure that I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good limiting one.
Oh, dude, no, I don't think I could have a superpower without being.
Well, you couldn't see anyways, so that'd be pointless for you.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Low hanging fruit at this point, man.
I feel like if I could.
Shots fired!
I feel like if I could only like if I don't like a Mr. Fantastic power, but I could only like go out like 1 foot. Couldn't really do much with that. I guess I could play like basketball or something.
Okay. Yeah, basketball. All right, we're all not thinking of.
What are you thinking of?
No, actually, no, what?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm perfectly content.
I agree.
Sorry. Lou's just wishing he could.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. Nah, I wouldn't just
If my mother-in-law is listening, I'm sorry.
just grow it out.
Okay, what about like floating? You can float 6 inches off the ground. That's pretty harmless. Don't really know how you get power hungry with that.
That's fair.
You can do like magic tricks, I guess.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, dude, I'd clean up in the magic sphere.
And then you can kind of get self-conceited, then think more. So yeah, I think
maybe
the visibility.
Maybe that's what happened to Chris Angel.
Oh. Hey, this is Rob just editing and post. If you guys want to know what we talked about, follow our YouTube page. Links in the description. Well, if it's in the description, you're on YouTube, or it's in the show notes. And maybe, just maybe, we'll post this on YouTube for you guys. Probably because we just think it's funny as all get out.
1 eternity later.
Menacing ejaculation.
That might be an After Dark one.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, that like...
Mike, what's your number 2?
Oh, man. All right. My number 2 took place on a cold winter's night about, I don't know, maybe 2:45 a.m. I was driving home from work on the moped, and piece of important information, there had been a different incident prior in the year where somebody almost hit me while I was on the moped, and I was okay. I dodged the car, but I had no side view mirrors anymore. And so I'm driving home, and I know it's freezing cold out, and I know it's like there's ice patches on the road. So I'm not doing full speed. I'm being as careful as I can, and I'm driving. I go, I think there might be a car a ways behind me, but I can't look in the side view mirror to tell. And so I glance over my shoulder, right? Now, in BMX, there is this thing where when you want to do a 180 or a 360, you look over your shoulder because that motion naturally causes your body to lead the rest of the bike into the 180, 360, what have you. So I'm on my bike. I look over my shoulder. I hit an ice patch at the exact same time, and I do a 180. But the ice patch is big enough that I continue moving in the direction I was moving when I first hit the ice patch.
So it was like hitting a banana in Mario Kart.
Yeah. In other words, I was riding backwards at 15 miles an hour on a moped in the road going, oh, yeah, there is a car behind me. And then I went, okay, I guess my best hope right now is to finish the 180, turn it into a 360. And I don't know if I botched it or if I just stopped being on the ice. But the next thing I knew, I was going down, and I kind of went stiff like a board, and my shoulder hit the ground first. I heard something just go. I didn't even have time to like lick my wounds because I hit the ground and just had to get up and get the bike off the ground as fast as possible because there was a car coming to run me over if I didn't. Yeah, that few seconds where I'm staring down a vehicle coming towards me while moving backwards on a moped. Whoo, I thought I was done.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, you've been really good at painting a picture. I have no questions, dude. I'm happy that you're alive. I'm happy your face isn't punctured. I'm happy that you don't look like that one guy from Hellraiser. I'm happy to get run over by a car. Pinhead, yes.
That's the guy. Yeah, man, it was crazy. My back was out of whack for like 2 months after that.
Can imagine.
Like, I think the pop was just something in my spine just going out of place.
Oh gosh.
We can move on if you guys don't have anything to say. That's totally cool. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was nuts.
Lou, what's your number 2?
All right, so this is the earliest I remember being scared. My parents did not care what video games I played. This will all tie in, I promise. Try to be as quick as possible. So I got to play GTA at a very early age. And so I learned what guns were because I used to play the games that had guns in it. And I knew what a Mac 11 was. And so me and my grandma were big walkers, and we enjoyed just strolling around Detroit. My grandma was from Detroit. She's lived in that area for a super long time. So there was a sense of respect for her. If the people in the area knew us, you know, they would always say hi. And it was really important for her to to come off as like she cared, or just just cared. I'm not sure. But so everybody respected us. Everybody loved us. So it was one time we were walking down a pretty big major road, and there was a group of guys that was pretty older than me, but not that old. And I saw a guy lift up his shirt, and I saw, into my eyes, a Mac 11. And it was the first time that I understood that I probably don't live in a really cool place if a video game is kind of like the same, if a GTA is kind of like the place that I'm living in. So it freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah, as it should have.
Yeah. And did he have a Mac 11? I don't know. I do know that he had a gun because my grandma was like, holy that's a gun. So, but I'm not sure which gun it was, but it looked like a Mac 11 to me. Yeah, not really anything really much to it. And he wasn't like threatening us. I think he was just like happy that he got his new gun, gun laws.
This.
Yeah. So he was just showing it off to the crew. It like had everybody's a kid. There's like that switch where it's like, oh, this is reality. And so that was my switch for me. It's understanding that I don't live in a great area. It was a little scary.
So my number 2, another Civil War reenacting story. I think this was the first night we go and march out. By the time we get where we're going to camp, it's already nighttime and everything. So we just lay down, put up camp in this tree line. I conk the heck out. It's like the only time I can sleep naturally is with Civil War reenacting. And then I wake up. What?
It's just like your body's like, this is where you belong. This is like where you need
I thought it's like, you've done so much activity that you don't usually do. We gotta power down. But I like your answer better.
I love these stories. I don't know why I find it so much. I find so much joy in your Civil War. Are you ever going to do it again?
Probably not in Dakota, but I'd love to do it again sometime. Like if we're back for like a Memorial Day or something, or if we move back in the area.
We all three of us should do it.
All right. So we hunkered down for the night. Next thing I wake up, I think there's an earthquake. And this might be Maryland. So I don't know if there's things there, but the ground is shaking. And then this huge just blaring sound comes out of nowhere. So my delirious mind, I think the effing rapture is happening. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it. Because there's like this loud blaring sound. The whole earth is shaking. And wouldn't you know, we camped maybe 100 yards away from a train, but waking up to the ground shaking. I think that the holy trumpets are sounding from heaven, and my soul was just ready. I'm like, all right, this is it. Take me up, God. And then nope, there's just a train driving past. But for a second there, I thought that was the end. It's kind of hard to describe. I was like terrified because I thought it was the end of times, but also like, all right, I'm ready. My soul is ready.
Look, so this will. I have a story that I've been sitting on for this podcast because it's kind of complicated enough that it requires a visual aid. Like I've been trying to figure out how to animate a map so we can have a visual. But let me just say, I have the utmost sympathy for you in that instance. Let no man make fun of Rob for this. It happens to the best of us.
So it's time to wrap it up. Mike, what's your number 1 time you were scared?
Number 1 time that I feared for my life. My grandma and grandpa on my dad's side, they had a pool. That was something that was apparently very important to my grandmother, is that they have a pool. And so sometimes when it was just, we knew it would be a crazy hot day, my mom and I would just head out because we were homeschooled. We could just do that. We would just head out and drive out to Rochester and we'd go swimming in my grandparents' pool. And I think it had to have been like a weekend, or no, I'm an idiot. It would have been the summer because the pool, duh. But we took the next door neighbor's grandkids with us. They were my age, Ryan and Courtney. And so we go to the pool, we're all swimming, and none of us knew that apparently Courtney didn't know how to swim. So we get to the pool and I jump in and I'm like swimming over to some big raft that's floating in there. And I don't know what went on. I don't know how this happened, but Courtney ends up jumping in the water too. I think she thought she could jump and grab the raft, but she missed. And girl just grabs me instead. And so I'm just happily swimming in my grandma's pool. And then next thing I know, this girl who's my age is dragging me down with her. And my mom had to literally do the jump in and like smack her over the head to break everybody up and then pull us all out of the water. I thought not only was I going to drown, but I thought I was going to get brought down under with somebody. And that's not a good feeling.
It's funny though, in lifeguard training, at least when I did it, we practice escapes if that happens. You have an active drowner and they're trying to grab onto you. They teach you some like basic escape maneuvers to get out from that. Actually, one of my favorite times from the training. In a real situation, I can see how that'd be terrifying.
Oh, dude, it was it was no fun. Yeah, but I guess you're really supposed to just like smack him over the head. Well, it's like, hey, better to knock him out than to let him drown and kill both of you, you know? So, yeah, Mama Bear came in clutch there, just hopped in, got us separated. I could swim, so once we were separated, I was good.
How deep
it
was
went
this
on?
pool?
Yeah.
So it's a regular 3-foot above ground pool, but what they did was they dug a huge hole on one side, and so it went down to about 6 feet. Completely uneven and awkward and like weird terrain. Becca was there. She can give you a description of it sometime. She's been to that pool as well. So it was kind of like a deep end, and so we just happened to be in the perfect spot for all hell to break loose.
Yeah, you're a better man. How old were you again?
I don't know. I couldn't. It was pre-8th grade, so at the absolute oldest, 7th grade, but probably younger because by the time I was in middle school, I probably could have got her off me. So I'm guessing elementary school.
Now, do you remember like beating her up or like putting your hands on her?
No, I remember just not knowing what to do. I was like, I think I kept trying to like,
right? Like,
yeah, I think I was trying to reason with her. I was like, dude, let me go. We're going under. Like, well, I think you're holding on to me. Like, I just didn't know. I was so just like deer in the headlights. Had no idea what to do with the situation.
Yeah, I mean, you're a better man than me because I would have stiff armed the heck out of that lady.
Boom, Derrick Henry, just bam.
I would have dug her in the dirt.
Well, and that's the thing is like, I know that's the right thing to do. I can reason that all out sitting here on dry land, but at the time I just totally froze up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not judging you for not being like, oh, look at this wussy not beating up a girl, but I am just sharing how I feel. Yeah.
So yeah, all I'm saying is you think that now, but in that position, it's weird.
So Lou couldn't have underwater breathing as a superpower because he'd be stiff arming women all around.
I wouldn't be looking around. Also, like, I don't know. Are you still friends with Courtney?
No, we don't talk. We haven't seen each other. I think we're all friends on Facebook now, but that's about it.
Virtual friendship.
If I ran into him on the street, I'd be more excited to see Ryan because elementary school, you're tight with the boys. She's the little sister.
Darn right.
But I'd be happy to see any of them. I don't hold it against her that she tried to kill me.
Good. I mean, yeah. All I'm saying is that like you had no business to get in that pool if you didn't know how to swim.
So Lou, what is your number one?
I think my number one isn't the scariest I've ever been. I really didn't know how to put this in order, but I don't know if I talk about football too much. But a lot of my I've played football most of my life, so a lot of my stories are connected to that. So I think it was my sophomore year playing college ball, and I grew my hair out super far. But the problem with growing your hair out or super far. Who says that? Super long. And so I had a really big afro. But the problem with having a big afro is that the helmet doesn't fit correctly on your head, no matter how tight the chin strap is. So there was always a little bit of movement. I've heard about concussions before in the past, and I remember the first time experiencing concussions. I had a friend who was a wide receiver, and he went up for a pass, and a guy absolutely destroyed him just up in the air. And he did a 180 and he landed on his head. Ooh. And I went up to him and I was like, dude, are you okay? And he looked at me dead in the face and he was like, I'm Batman. And I was like, what? I was like, what did you say? He's like, I'm Batman. And I was like, oh God. And so I like waved my coach in. He ended up being okay. But after that, back in my mind, I was like, ooh, I could be Batman one day. I should really protect my head. Flash forward again, sophomore year playing football, and we get into this huge pile-on. I think we were trying to do what do you call it? The butt push? What does Philly call it?
The brotherly shove.
Tush push.
The tush push, yes. So we try to do the tush push, and so soon as the ball gets snapped, I to my understanding, this is how I remember it. Some guy pushed my helmet off my head, and then we get into this big pile and just absolute chaos, and I black out. We didn't end up getting the touchdown. I stand up after blacking out, and I go straight to the opposite team sideline. And I leave my helmet. I leave my helmet like on the floor, on the ground. And a bunch of people are like, I hear in my background people calling my name, like Lucian, this way. And I'm looking, and I'm trying to see a friendly face, and I see nobody I know. And I am completely confused. I'm lost. At some point, I think somebody grabbed me, brought me to my sideline, and they just like started asking me a bunch of questions. And I've always been like a kind person. I've always tried to be like super nice, but I was just like such a asshole. And I was like, who the f you guys asking me all these questions? You can go yourself. I was just like super rude to everybody. And then my coach looked at me. He's like, "Can you play?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, I can play. That's why I'm here." And so I play the rest of the game. We end up losing. I have a massive concussion. And so afterwards, the doctor sees me, or like our doctor, and she asked me a bunch of questions. And in the paper she showed me afterwards, she was like, "Lucian's being very rude, and he's not usually very rude." I was like, "Okay, good analysis, I guess." She was like, "Do I need to take you to the hospital?" I was like, "No, I'm okay." I always heard that if you fall asleep with a concussion, you could die. I don't know how
Heard
true
the same thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know how true that is.
We'll get the intern on it.
I don't know how true that is. But for a hot second, I was like, dang, I could die if I fall asleep. And then immediately, like the next second, I thought, it is what it is. And I went to bed. And I didn't die. I got to get like my head scanned at an MRI. It was like a whole deal. But I stutter with my words sometimes. So I wonder if that's the reason. Yep. That was the shortest I've ever been scared. And immediately, like, it is what it is.
So
Yeah, I feel
that's
like-
all BS according to our intern, that you're actually fine to go to sleep.
Awesome.
Good to know. Good to know. Because
Yeah.
that's never made sense to me. I've always been like, no, players are in concussion protocol for weeks at a time sometimes. It's not like they're not sleeping through that whole thing. But it is interesting how some of the scariest moments are the shortest ones. That's something I'd never thought about until we started talking about this. But it's like the scariest moments are sometimes just a flash.
Yeah. It's like, what am I not going to go to sleep? My head hurts.
Right.
It's like, I'm going to go to sleep.
So I'm gonna take you guys back to 2005. I would go with a family friend and we'd go skiing at Crystal Mountain, which is a local, I don't know where in Michigan, but it's kind of a more local place. There's only like one mountain range in Michigan and it's all the way up in the UP. So we're not going there to go skiing. Don't even know if there's any good skiing there. We go to the Crystal Mountain with a family friend. We were there probably for like a long weekend. And at that point I was like, the levels were green, which is easy, blue, which is medium, and then black diamond, which is the hardest one. And I think there is like double black diamonds and all that, but for Crystal Mountain, they just have black diamond. So I'm going there. I meet this guy, because I still go to the training, because even as a blue, you still want, there's technique and stuff you can learn. So I'd still go to the ski school. Met this guy. We kind of like become buddies for the weekend. Very last day, my mom and the family friends we'd go with are like, "Oh, we're going to go get lunch." I'm like, "Oh, are you good with me hanging out with this guy? And like, we're just going to ski a little more because it's our last day." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, go for it." For some reason, we get the idea, as we're both intermediate skiers, and I was in 5th grade at the time, so a child intermediate skier. But like, okay, we're going to go and take on a black diamond. So we go up there the whole time. I'm like, I can feel my heart pumping. I'm like, I got this, no problem. We get to the top, we start going down. And one of the key things for skiing, especially for black diamond, you want to swerve as much as possible because that slows you down and you won't just go be a speeding bullet. I don't know whether I didn't swerve enough or anything, but I'm going down and I lose control. And I'm just kind of like flying past these people. And at the bottom of the run, there's like this kind of aesthetic wooden fence where it was maybe 2x4s and 4 planks in the middle. I don't know if it's just for people to grab it so they wouldn't like fall into the ditch. But I'm going and I've like spun around on my skis because I'm just out of complete control. Next, I see this fence coming towards me. Bam. I don't know what happens. Next thing I know, I wake up. There's my ski mask is falling over my face. I'm like contorted around this fence. I rip off my mask and there's people all around me. Like it's dead quiet and I can't move my legs. Yeah. And I don't even know how long it was, but I was temporarily paralyzed and I'm just terrified and I was terrified for my life. I like tried to stand up and I just can't rotate. And like, I think people could start to see the panic in my eyes. And I don't know, somehow like the ski patrol came out. I ended up getting put in almost like kind of like a body bag, but then they drag you behind like this 4-wheel or something. So I get taken to the medical tent. They end up somehow getting hold of my mom. And I know my family friend was kind of pissed. They're like, "Why'd you let him go do one more ski when we're having lunch?" She's like, "Dude, he was having fun. Like, we don't get to do this very often." So she wasn't mad about that. I don't know when, but at some point I did regain my like movement back. And I really walked away with only just kind of a sore hip and had a full range of movement. Well, maybe I don't because I still have some hip movements. Like I can't do lunges and all that. So maybe I'm just now thinking of it as a connection. Maybe that has something to do with it. I doubt it. For the most part, you go get x-rays, everything's fine. But there is nothing more terrifying than waking up and not having movement in your lower half of your body. And while it's not scared for my life, that is the most terrified I've ever been, that there is serious bodily damage to me. So that's my number one.
That's fair. I'd have been terrified.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's crazy. I know a lot of people have hurt themselves on the slopes.
Don't bite off more than you can chew. And make sure the swerve, got a lot of those.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, I don't think I don't really, I don't know. I almost said I don't know why I don't really talk about the story, but I just don't bring it up. So I don't think you guys have ever heard that. Probably a fresh story, which all yours were fresh to me as well.
That's a new one for me.
Being older now, I can't imagine like what my mom was thinking during that whole point. Like she must have been also just terrified.
Oh yeah, no way she wasn't.
For sure.
But that year was crazy for me. I had pneumonia twice that year with the skiing accident. I was out for like I think a month and a half of school. It's a wild year for me, 5th grade.
Jeez, yeah.
So every now and again, I'll thank God for having movement because even though it was for probably 30 minutes tops, something I don't want to experience again. So Lou, what are we talking about next week?
What are we talking about next week? I'm just playing. Yeah, so we're talking
Dude, it's
about...
your job to know that.
For real. 4th strike, you're out of here.
What game are we playing at this point?
We're bringing Seamus or Ben on to replace you.
Seamus is not black. You're screwed. At best,
We're bringing Waldo on.
We're getting Carl.
We're talking about top conspiracies. And we're gonna have a special guest, but I'm not gonna share it. So you're gonna wait until next week.
Or are we?
Oh my
Might be a
gosh.
conspiracy.
I just thought of the community conspiracy thing. That should be mine. Or is that just what Lucian wants us to think, that we're talking about conspiracies?
Actually, we're going to talk about superpowers that you could harass people with.
Whoa. Pause.
Super strength.
I don't know how to come from.
Rob's blackmail folder on me is just getting thicker and thicker by the episode.
Well, thank you for listening to this episode of the Top Podcast. If you enjoyed it, please give us a like and consider subscribing to us. Leave us a comment telling us what topics we should talk about, or if you have an icebreaker, let us know. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star review and leave a comment, and we'll read it off on the podcast. Hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you next week. Or will we?
Dun, dun, dun. Donnie Glover has this thing where he's like listening to his own music.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I've been getting that same situation going on, where like I'm listening to my own podcast and I'm having a great time. It's kind of weird.